Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to the Evolution Cup, where a trainer just pulled off a 10-game win streak with Shadow Ursaring and was able to take that team all the way up to Legend rank. Now, these battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Maki DK, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, Shadow Ursaring is an insane glass cannon. This Pokemon has an attack stat around 140, which means it cannot take a hit whatsoever, but if it ever lands a charge attack, you know it is going to hit for some truly monstrous damage. To round out the team, this trainer is using Charjabug on the lead and a non-Shadow Celio as the closer. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And we've got a perfect mirror lead in the first match, Charjabug into Charjabug. Now he's actually opted for a very interesting moveset choice here. The conventional moveset in this meta is what the opponent is throwing, which is Crunch. However, he's actually opted for the crunchless moveset of X-Scissor and Discharge. This will mean that he does actually have an ability to damage Pokemon like Togetic, which could be quite nice, but Dusclops could be a little bit of an issue. Opponent will put up the Protect Shield. They're going to overfarm quite significantly. I believe they need to fire off X-Scissor here to take the knockout. If they go for the Crunch, which they do, that's not going to KO. X-Scissor will be reached, and now they're going to lose the Charjabug or both their Protect Shields. They fully sacrificed the Charjabug. They really needed to go for X-Scissor in that matchup instead of going for Crunch. In comes Dusclops. There's going to be the Shadow Ursaring hitting the field, and their final Pokemon is revealed to be Celio. Ursaring no baits here, going straight for the close combat. Close combat is going to be shielded, and now the pivot out into the non-Shadow Celio. This is kind of how the team works. Shadow Ursaring is there to absolutely shred through the opponent's shields, apply massive amounts of damage, and then the two bulky Pokemon to support it, the Charjabug and the non-Shadow Celio. Non-Shadow Celio is insanely tanky. The opponent can fire off probably 5 Body Slams here, and Celio is just simply never going to care. Body Slam after Body Slam can connect. They do make a nice catch catching onto the Dusclops, but oh my goodness, this is just going to set up the Ursaring. Ursaring doesn't have any charge attack pressure into the Dusclops, but Ursaring should be able to get a big farm down and then just close combat that Celio for the win. Surf lands, that's very nice damage. In comes the Ursaring. Ursaring should be able to survive an Ice Punch here, although probably not by much. Oh, that actually did a lot more damage than I expected. Another charge attack comes out from the Dusclops, and at this point, Dusclops can probably even just go for Shadow Punches. So Ursaring will put up the Protect Shield. Ursaring looking for the farm down, can't quite get there, but Ursaring is going to be double shielding. Dusclops has almost been farmed down. In comes the Celio, and he reads the combo play attempt, fires off the close combat, and this game is over. Celio gets KO'd, back in comes the Dusclops. Dusclops falls, and that is a good game. Hopping into game number 2, leading Charjabug into the Dusclops. Oh, I see, now we're actually on Crunch and X-Scissor. That does make quite a bit of sense. I do think that Crunch X-Scissor overall performs a lot better, even though you do end up being walled by certain Pokemon like Togetic. Dusclops is just so common that having the ability to hit for super effective is a very big plus. Crunch connects, very nice damage onto the opponent, and Undertap is going to force the opponent to put up a shield or lose all this energy. And just like that, they've given a shield advantage to a team that has Shadow Ursaring. The setup has been completed. Shadow Punch is going to land. Opponent is going to fire off energy. They were worried that they would not be able to get that farm down, and this should set up the Ursaring to go absolutely crazy. Ursaring is going to hit the field. Dusclops is going to make the last second charge attack. I believe they do have enough for the Ice Punch here, and they do. That's a lot of damage onto the Ursaring. Ursaring does exit up quite a bit of energy. In the back is going to be Primeape. If Primeape no shields, this Swift is going to be devastating. Swift into the Primeape will be shielded. I really can't blame them, because you do not want to no-shield a single charge attack from a Shadow Ursaring. Rage Fist is going to boost up the Primeape. Primeape will win charge attack priority, so I really like the decision to not throw the Surf. Instead, just going to try and overfarm and Powder Snow it into Body Slam range. Celio has lost quite a lot of HP. These boosted Karate Chops are a very big problem, but Body Slam will secure the knockout, and the final Pokemon is revealed to be the aforementioned Togetic. Togetic is going to take some pretty considerable damage here from the Surf. Ursaring can probably make it to a Swift as well. Ursaring will hit the field. They can't get the farm down. They're forced to throw energy, and this should set up the Celio. Psyshock will take the knockout, so their moveset has been revealed. I feel like a lot of them run Psyshock and Heat Wave. If they're on Dazzling Gleam, this could get a little bit scary, but it is just going to be the Heat Wave. Heat Wave will not secure the KO. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. We move to game number 3. Charjabug this time going to be leading into a Morgrem, and this should be a pretty good matchup for Charja. Morgrem's going to have to heavily invest shields. Oh, they try for a catch on a Doublade, but Doublade is completely walled by Charjabug. This is a very curious switch in. Doublade going to be answered with the Ursaring. Ursaring can't quite get the farm down. Sacred Sword will hit for super effective damage. The no shield. Sacred Sword connects. Ursaring barely able to hang on. Ursaring clinging to life. Barely surviving, but does exit with the Swift. And this Shadow Swift is going to do a ton of damage onto the Morgrim. Morgrim will put up the Protect Shield. That should pretty much always be the case. If the opponent has a shield to use, then they're basically always going to be shielding a move from Shadow Ursaring. You do not want to mess around with a Pokemon that has 140 attack stat. In came Dusclops just to get absolutely shredded by a Crunch. Dusclops can fire off the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch won't even secure the knockout, and there's going to be a pivot out into the Celio. The opponent does have a ton of banked energy between the Dusclops and the Morgrim, and the good news is Celio should be able to absorb it. Opponent lands the first Shadow Punch, fires off Shadow Punch number 2. Celio, not wanting to get farmed down, is going to have to put up a Protect Shield. There's the switch, timer comes up, in comes Morgrim, and Morgrim is loaded. Celio flicks up the shield, Morgrim goes for foul play, Celio farms up and builds up to the back-to-back. Body Slam plus Surf. Body Slam is going to be shielded by the Morgrim. The Surf is available, but Morgrim wins charge attack priority. This should just be the foul play, so it won't take the knockout, but it will be putting Celio perilously close to getting farmed down. The opponent may have found a way back in this game. Surf will not take the knockout. Can Celio farm down? No, it cannot. It's a Cyber KO. In comes the Dusclops, but they can't farm down Charjabug. Charjabug makes the X-Scissor. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Picking up a very awkward lead in the next match, Charjabug into Marshtomp. Marshtomp is not a Pokemon that I've really seen in this meta. I believe it's probably running Surf. There it is. Marshtomp fires off the Surf. There's a pivot out, and in comes Charjabug. Charjabug is definitely going to be two-shot here by Shadow Swifts. We don't really think of Swift as a particularly strong attack, but look at that damage. Oh my goodness, Shadow Ursaring absolutely does not mess around. Ursaring fires off the Swift, able to get the shield back. Opponent does not overfarm. Ursaring was looking to pivot out there, but unfortunately was not able to do so. Ursaring will double shield, pivot back out, and send in the Charjabug. But Ursaring does have energy stored for later in the game. X-Scissor lands onto the Charjabug, back in comes the Marshtomp, but honestly I'm not 100% convinced that Charjabug is in Surf range. Surf is a pretty efficient attack, but I can't imagine Marshtomp has a particularly high attack stat. The moment of truth, can Charjabug survive? Surf is going to connect. Charjabug hangs on 1 HP remaining. I knew Charjabug could tank that. Charjabug full sends the X-Scissor, and that's going to be the end of Marshtomp. Opponent reveals their final Pokemon in the back is going to be Dusclops, and unfortunately Ursaring's energy is not going to do much here. But the opponent pivots out, they bring in the Charjabug. Charjabug instantly going to be Swifted, and Swift will secure the KO. So it's going to be Dusclops versus the world for the opponent. Dusclops will take the knockout with the Ice Punch, but I believe Dusclops, even up a shield, should end up losing this endgame to Celio. And that's just because Shadow Punch is not a particularly efficient attack, whereas Surf is significantly more efficient. So even though they're up a shield, the Powder Snows are also chunking away at the Dusclops. Opponent did throw the first on alignment, but realistically, I don't think that's going to end up mattering. Surf will be shielded. They can spam out as many Shadow Punches as they want. They probably need 3 more Shadow Punches from this health range. The first Shadow Punch will connect. The bulk of the regular Celio is just absolutely invaluable here. Celio will fire off the Surf. I imagine this just about takes the knockout. Oh, hold on a second. It actually didn't. The Dusclops. Is this going to be a range where Body Slam can take the knockout? Shadow Punch is going to land. Dusclops wins cap. Wait, no, the camera went a little crazy there. Okay, that's something they got to work on. The camera briefly showed that Dusclops won the cap tie, but no, it's Celio winning that cap tie. Body Slam secures the knockout and takes the win. We move to the next match, Charjabug into Celio. This is a rare matchup where Discharge could actually be nice, but honestly the full switches hit so hard that Charjabug is probably pretty fine either way. Charjabug will go for the X-Scissor. Opponent catches onto their own Charjabug, potentially hoping that they were able to catch a Discharge, but Discharge isn't really played in this format. Now in comes the Ursaring. Ursaring gonna throw 5 Shadow Claws and go for the immediate Swift. Swift will do quite a lot of damage. Charjabug barely survives. That is a little bit tragic. I wonder if the 6th Shadow Claw would actually take the knockout here. They went for the Discharge. It turns out that it would not have, so even if the Ursaring CMP tied, Charjabug still would have gotten the move. Back in comes the Celio, and Celio has energy. Will a Body Slam take the knockout? Ursaring not going to risk it, going down all Protect Shields. Ursaring fires off the Swift. This should be getting a shield back from the opponent, unless they're saving 2 shields for their sweeper in the back. But they're not. Ursaring pivots out. Oh, what a catch. Able to save the Ursaring and catch onto the Celio. This team is all about maximizing as much value as you can out of the Ursaring, and my goodness, we are witnessing an absolute masterclass. Massive overfarm from both trainers. Opponent really can't do a lot of damage here. We've seen how ineffectual Body Slams are, but the opponent has taken a lot of damage. They might actually be in range. Body Slam is going to land. Celio will fall. The final Pokemon in the back is going to be Togetic. Togetic being seen once again is a bit of a surprise. The Charjabug energy is not really going to do anything. I guess maybe Charjabug could try and force a shield, but that also works, getting a sick catch onto the bug. And That's the Dazzling Gleam as well. That's so much energy down the drain. And at this point, this game is over. Back in comes the Celio. Celio can even threaten with body slams. Opponent could have landed that Dazzling Gleam and changed the game, but that catch was just absolutely devastating. Celio making back-to-back body slams, and that's going to be all she wrote. Body slam KOs the Togetic and secures the win. We move to the next match. Charjabug this time leading into Lairon. This is a very rough lead matchup. Pivot out, in comes Shadow Ursaring. Lairon not going to leave. Lairon forced to fire off the body slam, otherwise Ursaring could have made the close combat. This body slam will hit for a ton of damage. Opponent pivots out, and in comes Celio. Celio looking for the farm down. Ursaring farms up to the Swift plus CC. Swift bait into the Celio actually gets no shielded. All that is devastating. The good news is Ursaring will make it to the close combat. Opponent no shields, and switch advantage has been secured. Back in comes the Lairon. Lairon is now going to have to deal with Celio, and Celio has a pretty significant pacing advantage. Lairon will be able to spam out Rock Tombs, but in the long run, Celio should be able to emerge victorious. Lairon applies that Rock Tomb debuff, Celio farms up, there's a catch attempt, and in comes Dusclops. Now the endgame is set, Dusclops having to try and deal with that crunch Charjabug. Charjabug not going to be too worried about back-to-back Shadow Punches, whereas Charjabug making it to back-to-back crunches is a very big problem for Dusclops. Each Volt Switch that lands gets the Dusclops lower and lower as well. Very nice charge stack timing from the Charjabug. Charjabug could honestly consider just going for the undertap here. It's really trying to ramp up the pressure on the opponent, and it ends up being a CMP tie that is absolutely perfect. Gonna go for the X-Scissors. X-Scissors should take the knockout anyway. The opponent's gonna try and sweep with the Lairon. The Lairon is gonna have a very difficult time trying to Metal Sound down the Charjabug. They're forced to fire off energy. Body Slam takes the knockout. And at this health range, Celio can probably get away with some diabolical Body Slam baits. Even if Lairon ends up no shielding, they're probably getting Powder Snow down. They will put up the shield, but Celio is just way too far ahead. Lairon can fire off the Rock Tomb, but now, even if Celio gets debuffed, Celio is only moments away from the back-to-back Surfs. The Metal Sound did sneak through. That is not going to be a CMP tie. Surf will be shielded. There's Surf number 2, and that is going to be game over. Lairon, a pretty scary Pokemon for this team in theory, but in practice, the spam of Celio and Ursaring winning switch advantage ended up being game winning. Dominant lead and safe switch in the next match as the opponent safe switches into Haunter, and they are getting absolutely deleted by Ursaring. Ursaring is going to put up the shield as Haunter goes to the Ice Punch. Haunter is going to get fully farmed down. And if they bring back in the Golbat, Golbat is about to get absolutely deleted by Swifts. This is the regular Golbat, but even the regular Golbat is easily going to be 2-hit KO'd here. Swift is going to land. That honestly did about 2/3 of its health bar just by itself, and there's Swift number 2 shortly thereafter. This is going to get the shield right back. Oh, they played to a CMP tie. They trusted they would win charge stack priority over Ursaring, but honestly, no one is ever winning that CMP tie. In the back is Hakamo'o, and this is actually very bad news for Charjabug. Charjabug is completely walled here. X-Scissor, Crunch, neither charge stack is going to be doing any kind of meaningful damage. Could consider fishing for a Crunch debuff, but the consistent pressure of X-Scissor will hopefully slowly start to add up over time. Hakamo'o will be able to take the knockout with the Rock Tomb, but surprisingly, Charjabug actually put up a pretty adequate fight here. Charjabug will get KO'd, but now Celio will be able to close out the game. Oh my goodness, what a catch. In comes Celio, peekaboo play, gonna catch that Brick Break onto the Ursaring, and that's just gonna completely slam the door. Now Celio gets a nasty farm down. The opponent is going to be able to make it to the Brick Break, but it's just simply not going to matter. Celio still has the Protect Shield, and Celio has all the energy it could ever want. Back in comes the Golbat, but the Golbat is nowhere near the game-winning Shadow Ball. Body Slam will be shielded. There's Body Slam number 2, and the camera goes a little bit crazy as the opponent concedes the match. Hopping into the final match, Charjabug into a shiny Morgrem. Oh my goodness, that easily has to be one of the best shinies in the entire game. Opponent's going to try and go for a catch as they bring in their own Charjabug, and this honestly works out pretty well because this team doesn't have a consistent Charjabug answer. I am a little bit worried that Morgrem with energy could be a problem in the endgame, but for now, the opponent's Charjabug is going to get chipped, and in comes Ursaring. Ursaring, able to snipe down the Charjabug. Opponent thought they would live the Shadow Claws, but they did not. Back in comes the Morgrem. Morgrem did bank a lot of energy. Ursaring is going to no-shield. Ursaring able to survive, 1 HP remaining, and make it to the Swift. This Swift is going to hurt. Morgrem puts up the Protect Shield. Celio is going to have to put in a lot of work in this endgame, but for now, it's going to be the Charjabug show. Charjabug hits the field. Morgrem tries to go for the CMP tie, but in doing so, they surrender an entire free Volt Switch. Now Charjabug may be able to double up. No, there's the pivot out. In comes Celio. The energy is banked on Charjabug. Celio only 1 Protect Shield left. Not going to use it here as Morgrem lands the foul play. In the back is a Shadow Primate. The Shadow Primate, surprisingly, actually has a pretty poor matchup into a Celio up energy. Celio just hits so incredibly hard. Even a Body Slam, if they call the bait, would do quite a bit, but if they put up the shield here, then they're just getting crushed by the Surf. But they do end up calling the bait, a nice call, the Primate player trying to pull out all the stops, but there's just way too much energy. Back in comes the Charge-a-Bug, 1 Volt Switch, and the X-Scissor. That's going to be GG's to the Primate as it gets KO'd. Back in comes the Morgrim, and the back-to-back X-Scissors are secured. Very, very nicely played game there. Making the hard read that Celio energy was going to be game winning, holding on to that final Protect Shield. All very important calls that allowed this game to end in victory. Here's this trainer claiming one of their 5-0 sets, climbing up to 2941 elo. They did mention that after this, they were able to successfully hit the Legend rank. So very cool to see a Pokemon like Shadow Ursaring actually make it all the way up to Legend. That is one of the reasons why I do tend to really enjoy limited metas. Even though limited metas, due to the fact that they have a lot of restrictions, and usually a lot of the very popular, very neutral mons have been banned, I do enjoy the fact that they can make some absolutely crazy mons have actual good results. Like, when in life do you see a Shadow Ursaring being able to hit Legend? It's not particularly often, but in a meta like this where the power level is lower and Pokemon like Licky are nowhere near this meta, then a significantly glassier option and a more offensive weighted version of that Pokemon like the Ursaring can actually have some pretty nice results. I do think that these battles especially really illustrated how to best set up a Glass Cannon. Glass Cannons typically want to be paired with 2 pretty bulky options because you're almost always going to try and commit heavy amounts of resources to the Glass Cannon. There's a reason why triple Glass Cannons, why it can be fun to watch. It's not really a competitive strategy at high elo because you're just going to get outbulked and people are going to be able to play around the fact that you just do not have enough HP and enough ability to take hits on the team. So learning how to best manage those resources when you do have a Glass Cannon on the team can honestly put you in a very, very good spot for success. We saw many times throughout these battles, he was able to bank energy, transfer fast moves that were aimed at that Ursaring onto either the Charge-a-Bug or the Celio, preserve as much energy as possible, and try and put it in the best position for success. Because at the end of the day, a team like this featuring a Pokemon that is an Extreme Glass Cannon, it's going to be all driver. A lot of people oftentimes will have the discussion of like, if a team works, is it because of the car, like the team that you're using, or the driver, the player that's playing it? In my eyes, a team like this is firmly a driver team. This team will go as far as your ability to play it will take it, and your ability to dance around awkward matchups, try and get as much value as possible out of the Shadow Ursaring, and then just use your bulky Charge-a-Bug and Celio to tank the hits. That way Ursaring is free to take massive amounts of damage and quite a few KOs. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching today's video, please do leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and an extra special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide to the channel is so appreciated. So thank you guys so very much, and until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.